It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is kind of a cloudy, overcast Friday in Nashville, but all things considered, not bad at all. Still a lot of football in our life, and we got a really good show for you. So let's get it going right now. Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. And as you know, with interest rates going down, suddenly there may be reason to talk to Lori. 615-969-4350. Let's say hello to Terry McCormick, Main Street Media. Terry, who's starting at quarterback Sunday?
Well, looks like it's going to be Ryan Tannehill. One last go around for the veteran. Will Levis is going to be the third quarterback on that injured foot, so they're not going to take any chances with him. Going to be Ryan Tannehill. This accomplishes a couple of things, George. First off, it certainly keeps Levis out of harm's way with that foot injury, not risking him to any further issues. And second of all, kind of gets to be a nice thank you, so to speak, for Ryan Tannehill to get the run out of the tunnel as the starter one last time before he heads to free agency, and to get to do that alongside Derrick Henry, with whom the two of them have accomplished a lot here.
Terry, if it had been needed, if it mattered, could Levis have played?
It's a good question. Vrabel didn't really go that deep into it. My guess would be that he probably could have gutted it out and gone. When he talked to us on Wednesday, he said, though, that he was having – it hurt when he tried to push off and throw, because it is on his back foot, his right foot, the one that he plants in order to throw. So probably would have been listed as questionable, but my guess is, had the Titans had playoff aspirations or anything of the such, that he would have probably gutted it out.
So Tannehill gets the start, and all of us believe this is the last time we'll ever see him in a Titans uniform. Do you think he talks afterwards about future desires in pro football, or has he done that at all? Kind of update us.
We talked to him the other day. He didn't really, he did say that he'd reflected a little bit that it could be his last time here on Sunday, but didn't really get into what he wants for the future. My guess is that he'll talk after the game, since he's the starting quarterback. And then he may talk on Monday when it's locker cleanout day. And in one of those interviews, he's probably going to, be asked if he still wants to play, and, how badly he does and what type of situation it would have to be. My guess is that if there's an opportunity out there to have a chance to start, or at least be a bridge quarterback and start for a year while the team grooms a guy, that he might be up for that. I don't know that he would be as interested in just going and being a second string quarterback, because you can tell that, beneath the surface, you can kind of tell in his words and the way he talks in the interviews that he wasn't overly happy about the way his tenure wound up here, with him being benched after the injury.
Yeah, and while we may never know it, my gut feeling is that this is not the way Vrabel wanted to do it either.
Maybe not. But then when you combine the fact that this team didn't know what its future was at quarterback, and then the smashing debut that Levis had against the Atlanta Falcons, kind of forced their hand in that situation, George.
Yeah, you're right about that. So, Terry, on the Jacksonville side, I may be the only person that cares whether it's Trevor Lawrence or C.J. Beathard, because I know C.J. I would love for him to get the experience of getting to play in front of friends of his from his BGA days. What are you hearing down there?
Sounds like Lawrence is going to be a game time decision, according to the reports that I've seen coming out of Jacksonville. I assume he's been pretty limited all week, and even Beathard was a little bit on the injury report with a little bit limited one day too. So going to be interesting there. It'll be a game time decision for Jacksonville as to whether or not they play Trevor Lawrence or have to use C.J. Beathard.
Terry, I have a feeling we'll be dealing with you a lot early next week. Rest up, get them a win on Sunday, and we'll talk again on Monday.
All right, sounds good, George. Have a good weekend.
That's Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. As Lori has said it, interest rates have gone down some, not enough, but it opens up options that you may not have had 2-3 months ago. Give her a holler and find out. 615-969-4350. Hello, Billy.
Hello, George.
How are you?
A little under the weather, but we're battling through.
We're fighting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The old nasal acting up again.
Yes, I know all about nasal.
I'm just hoping
There's one commercial in particular, if you pay attention.
I end up talking like this.
Yeah.
I'm not that bad, but I'm hoping this is the worst it gets. So we'll see how it goes over the weekend. But George, we got a lot to get to. The Preds had
let's get to it.
had a game last night.
Yes, I was there
in Nashville.
Yeah,
Flames put it on them.
They did. They just were the better team. Period.
And the Flames are a decent team, right? I mean, they're not.
Yeah,
obviously not the
what
Rangers.
What is a little disturbing is that it continues the trend of UC Saros not playing to the level he did a year ago. A year ago, he played at the level of the number one goaltender in this league, and he propelled the Predators as far as they ended up going. If they could get that goaltender back, in other words, he gets on one of these hot streaks of his, he can carry a team. Boy, would that help them.
Well, because they've got some players around him, but they've got to be more consistent. And so, of course, we'll see that they're in Dallas tomorrow night, 7:00 puck drop for the Preds. College football, former K-State quarterback Will Howard has committed to Ohio State, according to Pete Thamel. He led K-State to a Big 12 title in 2022, of course, against TCU there. But, George, I look at that and say, how much of a step up from Kyle McCord is that?
I think it's a huge step up.
You think so?
I do. I'm a Will Howard fan. I think he is absolutely what the doctor ordered in Buckeye Land, because while they professed no need to get into the portal a week and a half ago, Missouri taught him otherwise.
Yes, they did.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of Will Howard. I think he's a terrific player.
Yeah, I think there's some concern up there about the quarterback spot, and there's some pressure on him. I like Howard as well. We'll have to see. It's kind of interesting that they go with a similar style quarterback as opposed to maybe a more dynamic player. Whether it was a Cam Ward,
may not have been one available.
Yeah, you're probably right.
None of them said yes.
You're probably right. Well, in other news, George, Oklahoma State quarterback Alan Bowman, he just got a waiver for a 7th season in college football. He'll turn 24 before next season. He played at Texas Tech, Michigan. He's now at Oklahoma State. All this 7th-year stuff is continuing. So wanted to get that out there. Obviously, he's not the best quarterback in the country, but I thought that was interesting.
He'll get his AARP card at the end of the season.
Yeah. The Heisman odds dropped yesterday, George, for 2024. Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, and Jalen Milroe are all co-favorites at plus 750. And Nico Iamaleava is not far behind at plus 1,800. Obviously, there's going to be some Heisman hype for Nico heading into next year.
I'm not convinced that Quinn Ewers wins the quarterback job at Texas.
Oh, you think Arch has a shot
I
there?
think Arch has a shot.
Interesting.
I don't think Ewers did anything to help himself in the semifinal game. He wasn't all that good.
Yeah, especially late there. He had a chance to win that game, and they just kind of folded the 10 up there late. They've also got early 2025 college football national championship odds. Georgia leading the way at plus 400, Alabama plus 550, Ohio State plus 700. It's kind of funny. It feels like it's those same three teams every year. Nothing's really changed, but Texas is in there as well, Michigan. Not far behind.
What that really means, the Ohio State and Michigan numbers basically mean that the big game's in Columbus.
Exactly. That's your kind of your pseudo national title every year. I know you still got Alabama and Georgia, but you could probably the last 4 or 5 years put Georgia and Alabama in a semi and Ohio State and Michigan in a semi.
And you'd come out with at least 2 of the 4.
Exactly. Maryland quarterback Talia Tungavaloa entered the transfer portal today in what will be his second career transfer. So he had a great career at Maryland. Obviously, this is tough for Maryland. We'll see where he goes. But with these quarterback spots, there aren't as many spots available now as there were maybe 3 weeks ago. So it's you would guess it's a little bit tougher, but maybe.
I would think somebody jumps all over this kid. He's pretty good.
He is. He's a really good player. Also, NFL, George, the Ravens signed running back Dalvin Cook to their practice squad yesterday, which could give the Ravens a little bit of a boost.
Sure could. He could help them.
In their backfield heading into the playoffs. You also got Coach Doug Peterson. I know Terry just got to this. He said he needs to see Trevor Lawrence throw the ball a little bit harder in practice today to test his sprained right AC joint. So,
look, I don't want anything bad for Trevor Lawrence, but I'm kind of rooting for C.J. Beathard to get to play here in front of family and friends.
Yeah.
That would be a very cool story for him. I know it would be very meaningful for him, and I hope it happens.
It would. I'm with you on that.
That's
done? All I got. Yep.
Okay. Let me tell you a little bit about what we have coming. Mark Griffin. I see him in the on-deck circle, ready and raring to go to talk college basketball. Tomorrow, the SEC begins, I don't know what we call it anymore. I don't know if it's round robin, conference play. That's the easy way to say it. We've got a bunch of things to talk with Mark about. Then Coach Watson Brown will be with us at 3 o'clock. We'll get a tale of the tape of Jacksonville Titans. What does that mean? Means it's my opinion, not worth much. And then plaster bets of the day to close out the show. So a lot on a busy Friday. Please stay with us. This is the George Plaster Show.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. SouthernTrophyHouse.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. We are back, and we're about to be joined by former University of Tennessee star Mark Griffin to talk some college basketball. He'll do this every Friday. Wow, looky here. Wow. Job interview.
Keep up with you, George. I saw you today. It was great to see you, and you're wearing a sport coat, and I'm like, I can't go in a T-shirt.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think anyone would have cared?
I do work, but, you know.
Right. But truthfully, nobody would have cared. It's the information they want.
No, that's
so
content.
Absolutely. So today you're going to educate even some of us who think we know a little college basketball. Let's do this. Let's start with where the SEC has been non-conference and talk through net rankings and all that kind of stuff. Billy, if you will, here we go with the net rankings, which are in parentheses. Mark, what does net rankings really mean?
Well, it's something, George, I think that most fans will become accustomed to if they're not already, because it's, you know, they used to have so many different metrics that the committee looked at, that the pundits looked at when evaluating teams throughout the season to see if they're postseason worthy. And there were some tweaks to what was called the RPI, which I won't get into details, but just a few years ago, they came up with a net ranking. And what net means is the NCAA evaluation tool. And there is an algorithm, which is complicated, maybe with your whoops, I just lost you. Maybe with your, have you got me on the air, George, or no?
We've got you. You're there.
Okay, I'm sorry. I lost you. So with the simplified version, George, they looked at just different metrics, rewarding teams who beat quality opponents now. You're measured who you're playing, and not only that, it's where you're playing. You know, a quality opponent on the road is more valuable than a win at home. And you do look at strength of schedule, scoring margin, and I mentioned game location. So all this comes into an algorithm and it spits out your net ranking throughout the season. And what's really interesting, George, if I could go on, is it's fluid. And what I mean by that is a good example is, let's take a look at Ole Miss. 2 weeks ago, Ole Miss had 0 net one or quadrant one wins. They had 3 quad 2 wins, but University of Central Florida net ranking improved enough to where they fit in the category of a quad 1 win, and now Ole Miss has 1 quad 1 win. So depending on how the teams do throughout the season, their rankings will move up and down, as will their quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, and quad 4 rankings evolve as well.
Okay, and there is a little bit of what Mark is talking about. The more quad 1s you get, in theory, the committee come March really rewards you. The more 3s and 4s that you have, the more they say, no good. So let's go back, Billy, if we can, to that graphic about where the SEC is. Let's start with Ole Miss for a second, Mark. They are 13-0, and clearly the net rankings are not all that impressed because they've got them 9th out of a 14-team field.
Yes.
You're going to see Ole Miss tomorrow night.
Yes.
What's your gut feeling about them?
I look at it I really did a deeper dive to see who they've played. They have a quality win against Memphis State. They have the win against Central Florida and one more. But they got tons of quad 4 wins. So right now, I'm not as big on Ole Miss as some people are. I just don't think they've had the quality opponents. But they're 13-0. Give them credit, and Coach Beard lots of credit, because they brought in a lot of transfers, George. They've got 4 starters that were at least one-time transfer, and then they have a steady player in Matthew Morrell from Memphis that Billy knows, that's averaging 17 points a game. So it'll be determined. I just don't think at the end of the season, my projection is that they make the NCAA tournament. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see how they play tomorrow. It's a big challenge for not only Tennessee, but for Ole Miss to go on the road. And if they can, eke out a win at home on the road against Tennessee, that'll be huge for Ole Miss's momentum.
Sure.
But
absolutely. Okay, let's try South Carolina for a minute, because this is a team that is 12-1 in non-conference. They're ranked ahead of Ole Miss. And frankly, when you look, you see they're ranked ahead of an Arkansas that in recent years has been a Sweet 16 kind of team.
Yes.
So what's going on in Columbia?
Off to a great start. Their coach used to be down the road in Chattanooga, and has put together once again a lot of transfers. That's going to be the common theme moving forward. You talk about portal in football, but in basketball, it's all about building on your recruiting. Now, some of the bigger focus is transfer players that are proven at other conferences and universities, and South Carolina's gone out and done that as well. I want to say South Carolina either has 4 or 5 starters that have been one-time transfers. Now, that's not unusual for a new coach to come in, George, and bring in transfers to get things going. It used to be back in the day, it was JUCO players. Now it's transfer players. And of course, from the Vanderbilt followers, Miles Studi is one of their better players as well, 3-point shooter. And it's going to be a great game tomorrow. They play against Mississippi State at home. So it'll be a great test to see how North Carolina can fare, because this is not a team, George, that we've talked about in years that has been ranked as high as they are right now.
Okay. As I look at this thing, here's one thought that keeps popping up to me, Mark, and help me understand this. So you've got a bunch of these teams that have gone into the transfer portal. And your theory would be, man, it's going to take them a while to learn each other's stuff. And early on, it's not going to be real pretty, but they'll get better as it goes along. It seems like a couple of these teams have beaten that trend quickly.
I agree. I'm actually pleasantly surprised to see, George, you've got 9 teams in the top 60. So for people to kind of be on what you're going to be measuring is I would think as a committee member, you would want to be looking at that top 68 or so and see who's around that mark in that range. If I'm Arkansas, I'm a little concerned, but once again, we're starting second season tomorrow and everything changes moving forward for conference play. But looking at the pre-conference schedule, this is what's developed as far as the net rankings. And it does show you that overall the SEC has fared very well as far as their ranking. To give you kind of even a bigger, a broader perspective, George, if you were to guess who's the number 1 team in the country in net, would you or Billy know who that would be?
I mean, we'd be thinking about teams like Kansas or Duke. Okay, you tell me.
Well, good guesses. Houston's number 1.
Okay, I can see that.
BYU, team we talked about last week, is number 2.
Yeah, I can't see
which
that.
is crazy.
It's just crazy. I mean, I don't get that either. So when you look at this, you say, how legitimate is the net ranking when you've got a BYU team as number 2? But based on the algorithm, and remember the strength of your opponents, and a win on the road is worth more than a win at home. That's what's played out. Number 3, Purdue. Number 4, Arizona. And then you see Bama and UT. 5, 6.
And on the net, Mark, I mean, would you say that it really doesn't matter until the end of the season? I mean, you can say that about a lot of metrics. But, with BYU, say, for example, a team they've beaten so far just is awful in their conference. And so you look, at the end of the season, and some of those BYU wins aren't as good, and they could be out of the top 25, top 30 in the net, whatever. And then it's not as valued. But I don't know. Does it really not matter until the end of the season where you look at it and you go, okay, here's our net? Other than the fact that, you can kind of track it throughout the season.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter until you really get down to crunch time.
Well, I think you're right, but then does the top 25 matter until the end of the season? I mean, does any metric really matter until conference? And for the fans that like to follow through the regular season, we want to be able to measure something because what's measured matters. And so we have to have some barometer, but you make a great point. I can remember a couple of years ago on the Selection Sunday, people focused on last 10 games of the season. This is what their record was. Well, this takes, this takes the place of that to say we're not the momentum doesn't matter because it matters what you do throughout the whole season, and the metrics as far as the rankings will change, like you said, based on how they play the entire season. For example, a team like Memphis, which I don't know what their net ranking is. I think it's top 25, but they're going to go into conference play and they're going to hardly go against anybody that I can think of that's a quad 1 opponent to help boost their rankings. So that's, I think, another reason why Penny booked such a hard pre-conference schedule, because it boosts his net rankings now. Plus it helps with the, overall experience for his players to learn. And then when the net over the season, their rankings they're going to slip, just hopefully not significantly as long as they win, because the committee looks at quad 1 wins and they focus on quad 3 and 4 losses. So you just don't want to have any bad losses.
Mark, I realize Vanderbilt's number is a joke. It's absolutely pathetic. and it should be based on some of the losses they had in non-conference. And then all of a sudden, they pull a rabbit out of the hat in Memphis and show us a level of play that they haven't come anywhere close to at any point. What's your theory? Where'd that come from? And is any of that here to stay, or was that a moment in the sun before they go back into embarrassing?
You know, it's a great question, George, and I think that it goes back to preparation for Alabama this weekend at home to build off of the momentum, or even with having a loss, you can learn a lot from a loss, especially a close loss on the road. There's a lot of positives for that, if that makes sense. Coaches will spin that. Players will know that they were that close to a win against a really formidable team, and I think a Sweet 16 team in Memphis State. And what's interesting, George, I don't know what the spread is for Vanderbilt against Alabama, but I can tell you now they could lose by 20 or win by 5. I mean, I really do think that based on the way they played against Memphis, that the players' mindset know that if they could go in a week later and knowing they're playing at home, hopefully they'll have a good crowd. And if they can contain Mark Sears, yes, who's the SEC leading scorer, great guard, transfer from Ohio a few years ago. If they can contain him and do a formidable job of rebounding, and LaLawrence kid goes off, which I'm a big fan of him. He's having his worst shooting year of his career, field goal wise. But if he can come around tomorrow, I think Vanderbilt's got a shot to beat Bama if things can go their way.
Okay, let me play cynical here. If you're capable of scaring the crap out of Memphis on their own home court, but you can't beat Presbyterian, you can't beat San Francisco. Help me here, Billy. Who's the third one?
Western Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Okay, kind of dregs of society.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on there?
Well, I can tell you as a former student athlete that when it comes down to SEC play, your mindset changes. Do teams play down to their competition? Your coaches don't want to say that, but they do. When you're up against an SEC team, you know those guys. You played travel ball with them in high school, against them in high school, or even teammates. The scouting report's much easier. You know what their likes and dislikes are, their tendencies. Moore's on the stage. The stage is bigger when it comes to SEC play or any country as far as conference play. So I think it is a big difference. Now, is it disappointing that they had those losses that they did? Yes. But as a program, it's not 1 month, it's not one game. It's like, how do we improve over time? Do we work out the kinks? Do we stay together as a team? Is there any chemistry issues, or is there any cancer killers? And what I mean by that is, there a player that's just terrible in the locker room that they've got to get under control behind the scenes, that's not going to be talked about on talk radio shows or in the paper? There's a lot of factors that can go on, but right now the great thing about going into conference play is it's clean slate for everyone. So it'll be really interesting late Saturday night to see if there was any upsets for this conference, SEC conference alone. I think there will be. There'll be some head scratchers as well. And once again, it's just a new season. It's exciting for all 14 teams.
Okay, we'll do this. We'll go to the break. Then we'll get a little bit to your alma mater and what you think is there or not there. There seems to be a lot of pressure being applied to this team. We'll talk more SEC basketball with former Vol Mark Griffin. Way overdressed.
Look at you.
You know, I mean, well, yeah.
We're both at work. You're at work, I was at work. So
right. Let's just say you outkicked your coverage. on this outfit. We'll go to the break, and we'll be back.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Good Friday afternoon to all of you. We continue our weekly visit with former Tennessee basketballer Mark Griffin, who joins us way overdressed for the occasion. Mark, your school, Tennessee and Kentucky, it seems to me, both have a lot of pressure being applied. Both of them have been really good. Neither one of them has gotten much done in March in recent years. Taylor Barnett on this show Tuesday or Wednesday said he thought Kentucky, and we'll start with them, has enough to be considered one of those that can go all the way. You buy that?
Oh, I definitely buy it. Last week on your show, George, I mentioned that they're not a surprise to where they're at now. It's just a matter, do they get in each other's way as far as all that talent, and can they once again keep the chemistry and put the team first attitude that I know the coaching staff is feverishly working on. I mean, George, you've got a potential first-round draft pick, and Reed Shepherd comes off the bench. I mean, you've got so much talent, and not only the freshmen, they've got a good mix. One kid that I really like is Antonio Reeves, transfer from I want to say Missouri State, and it's maybe a second year at least at Kentucky, playing just fantastic. And with his leadership and others that are more veterans, I think that is going to help really coach the younger players into learning Coach Cal's system, learning how to be a team player, even if you are a five-star, credited to your name. That doesn't matter these days. When you're on the court, no one cares what your star ranking is at all. It's the effort and what you bring to the table. But they've got a lot of talent. Now, they don't have a lot of depth inside. Now, that may be an issue that you may have to deal with. And you can only get so many players to get so many shots. So do you have situations where guys have an opportunity to score and they're like, I better take one now because I may not get this shot a few minutes from now. And let's face it, players do care about stats. They want to win, but they want to have good stats. So if all that can be under control and in a barrel, I think Kentucky goes very far.
Kentucky has Florida, by the way, tomorrow on CBS. Let's talk about your school, because I want to know if you think this is fair or not. As Barnes gets the criticism of he hadn't done as well in March and in the NCAA tournament, it seems to me that they're better in January and February, but by the time they get to March, it's almost like we've had enough. We're out of gas mentally and physically. Do you think that's true?
I think it's been demonstrated. I mean, you can't go against the record of performance in the March, even though we can be cautiously optimistic moving forward, but you have to go with the records during the tournament time. And it's not been great, George, for the Tennessee faithful and Coach Barnes' postseason success during the tournament. What I think's different about this team is you've got a go-to guy in Dalton Connect, who's a guard that can get his shot. You've got veteran leadership in guards. You've got great free throw shooting, which in the SEC, Tennessee is second in the SEC and 18th in the country in free throw shooting. That is critical during postseason play, and they've got great defense. So they check the boxes in what you need to be a successful tournament team that I feel lacked in the past. And that was especially that go-to individual that can get you a shot.
When they played Purdue, and I want to say, was that in Hawaii? Where'd they play Purdue?
Yeah.
It was okay.
I believe you're right.
This is an unfair deal because Purdue's really good. But even with Dalton Connect, they struggled in the half court mightily. And to me, that's the kind of tournament team that if they're going to go the places they want to go, they've got to somehow find a way to get through. Now, 98% of NCAA Division I can't get through a Purdue. Do you think Tennessee can? Because ultimately in March, that's what they're going to be asked to do.
Oh, no doubt. It's going to be a challenge, George. I mean, I'm not wearing orange-tinted glasses all the time. I mean, they're going to have their challenges. I think what people are starting to do when you mention Purdue is if you're going to lose, when you're scouting a team, you're like, this person is not going to beat me. Well, that means if you're going to double someone, you're saying, I will allow X player to take his shots and we'll take our chances. I think what you'll see in Big Ten play and in conference play, people are going to double down every time Edey gets the ball. And they're going to decide who that guard is going to be to drop down into the paint to double team Edey. And then the opponent will hope that guard will force a shot or be inconsistent to give that team a chance for victory. And I think that you're going to see that the whole season. Now, when Tennessee played Purdue, the Lawyer kid was on fire. So it didn't work for them. So, but it's the roll of the dice. You've got to take risks there, because if you don't double down, Edey's going to eat you alive.
Sure. And we both know the Achilles heel for Purdue, when they've gotten into tournament play in March, they haven't hit the broadside of the barn when four people, do the double down of Edey and he's got a kick to a guard and none of them hit anything, they're screwed.
Yeah.
And we all know that's what people are hoping for.
Yeah. And you could put, Matt Painter and Coach Barnes and, in the same
in a lot of the same stuff. Yeah.
Success with a lot of talent. They have a very similar background, unfortunately, and Painter's a great coach.
Billy, can we go back to the graphic you showed of the SEC earlier? Okay, there we go. Give me right now who you really believe at the end of the year from the SEC will end up in the big dance.
Well, I don't think it'll be 9. I know that's been a hot topic. If you want me to go through each one, I can. We'll start with, obviously, I do think Alabama will be in the tournament. Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, Texas A&M. I think Arkansas will jump. They've been kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that, George, once again, when you're dealing with multiple transfers and they've got, Trevon Brazile that had come off an injury, that's a future pro. I think when you look at people like him and his maturation process, I think that they're going to come along. I'm not as big on South Carolina. I'm not as big on Ole Miss, but I do like Mississippi State. I think they've done they've really overachieved, and they've got the best big man in the SEC that no one's talking about, Tolu Smith, who's going to dominate.
He was becoming unstoppable a year ago.
Yes.
Down the stretch.
That's right. He played his first game. He had an injury where he played his first game against Bethune-Cookman last game. Ideal time to come back in the conference play, and I think that he is really going to benefit that team, and they'll work around him. And then the people I don't think Vanderbilt, LSU, I don't think Missouri, Georgia, and I don't know if I left anybody out. I think Florida makes it as well.
Okay, let me ask about
7 or 8 is what I have.
Let me ask about Florida, because there was a day in time where they won back-to-back national titles.
Mm-hmm.
And for now, that day has come and gone. And what we see now is a very middle-of-the-road Florida that take out the big kid Castleman in recent years, and there wasn't a lot there. Why are they stuck in this mire?
Man, it's interesting. You would think that would be a great place to play. I know, George, and I hate to go back when I played, but when we played down in Gainesville, man, you talk about a great environment. Fans are all over you.
Yeah.
And the games I watch on TV, it's crowded. Now, they went through, coaching change. They've got a future pro and Riley Kugel, Belmont transfer, Will Richard. They've got good perimeter players. What scares me about Florida is they don't have any, for what I've seen, George, is consistent inside presence or depth. And I think that's going to hurt them. So they're kind of the team I have, if you want to say, on the bubble.
Yeah.
Is I think they've overachieved right now and could drop easily. But now, could they beat Kentucky this weekend? Sure. I mean, anything's possible. If Kentucky doesn't bring their A game and you're on the road, and George, it's tough to win on the road. I don't care who you are.
Right.
That'll be, once again, a great game, and I will be watching that game with great interest to see how Kentucky fares against which will be a hostile environment. They'll come out for this game against Kentucky. The Florida fans will.
So I'm with you on Arkansas, partly for this reason. Arkansas basketball in recent years has outlasted a bunch of bigger names in March. They find ways to win. There seems to be a freedom in what Musselman does.
Well, and real quick, George, they're kind of the opposite of Tennessee, Purdue,
Right.
where they may really struggle in the non-conference and then kind of get a slow start in SEC play, but they find
pick
a
it up
groove in March, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and it didn't hurt, too, if I could jump in, that you had 4 NBA players on last year's team, and Brazil was hurt. So
that's true.
And that does tend to help it.
Mark, who did they get back? Was it last year they got back somebody right at the right time, or was that 2 years ago? One of their guards. I'm forgetting his name right now.
Well, Nick Smith came in mid-season.
Yeah. Okay. Nick Smith was hurt. He came in and helped them out a lot. So yeah, the talent is there too.
Okay, I sit there and I look at LSU at 13th, which begs the question. No Will Wade. Will Wade's at McNeese State, and everybody I talk to says he's going to win that league, i.e., he ain't going to be there long.
No, not at all. He'll be one of the – George, and I know, and you and I love this topic of next coaches in place. His phone will be ringing off the hook, or his agent, him, and family members, etc. But you're right. He's going to be one of the top 5 guys that'll be getting calls for appointments next year.
Yep. You're right about that. You said a couple of things earlier that were really interesting. In this league that we've spent virtually the entire 40 minutes on, these conference games come down to the final 3 minutes and who hits free throws and who doesn't. Because so many of those games are decided by single digits, 6 or less points, and ultimately for all the putting, the chalkboard and drawing up this play and that play, comes down to who hits free throws.
Yeah, and George, on top of that, is teams that don't have bigs that shoot free throws well at the end of the game. Watch this. Your followers watch this. See how often that they are taken out of the game during critical time period. Because let's face it, you don't want a 55% free throw shooter going to the line with the last several minutes in the game. You may run what we call offense on, defense off, or defense on, offense off mode, where you'll have a defender, your big guy will play to defend, and when you're on offense, you make sure he's out of the game, because scouting report, to foul those guys that can't shoot free throws, and every team knows who can't. And that's where guard play comes in, and teams with guards, once again, I think makes a huge difference in those last few minutes that you just talked about.
Mark, great stuff as always. Good looking outfit. Did you pay for that?
I did.
Did you really?
How else would I get it? I'm not sponsored like you. You're probably sponsored by.
No, I'm not sponsored. I'm not sponsored. Thank you as always.
My pleasure.
Mark Griffin, former University of Tennessee basketball star, joining us for his weekly visit from here through the end of college basketball. You will hear him every Friday afternoon.
Bingo.
After the break, we intend to make it a 2-game winning streak in Plaster's stat of the day.
Without Kelly, that shouldn't matter, though.
Well, I pulled one out of left field yesterday. Got one right that nobody saw coming. We'll try to do it again after the break. Then Coach Watson Brown will talk about Monday night's national title game down in Houston between Michigan and Washington and get into a few other issues as well. Please stick around. The 3 o'clock hour is next.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Top of the hour on a Friday, a football Friday. I know we call it Football Friday. Might have to start calling it Basketball Fridays. For now, we got some good basketball matchups tonight, and of course, NFL matchups everywhere on Sunday. But stat of the day now, and then we'll bring Watson Brown on with us. Stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards. You can find them out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Matthew's got cooked up for you, George.
Yes,
today.
For me, since Kelly, oh, no.
All right, we're going NHL again.
Okay.
Connor McDavid has 6 seasons where he has scored at least 100 points so far in his career. Who is the only other active player with at least 6 seasons of scoring 100 points or more?
I mean, I don't know where else to go other than Alex Ovechkin.
Alex Ovechkin is your guess. Any other guesses?
You know, I don't know if Connor McDavid has been in the league 6 years.
It is, well, I don't want to say anything.
Okay, well, let's see. Oh, Sid the Kid.
Sidney Crosby.
Wow. Well, I was in the fine family of superstars.
So for you, when you think, because I mean, Ovechkin was your
To me,
basically pseudo,
Ovechkin is a better scorer than Crosby.
because Crosby's more of an all around, passer, facilitator.
Ovechkin, before it's over, may end up being the all-time NHL leading scorer.
You think so?
Well, he could be. He's not that far away from Gretzky, a record that nobody thought could be broken. Ovechkin might be there. By the way, early lines are out tomorrow in SEC basketball. I'll give you 3 of them. Alabama is a 16.5-point favorite at Vandy. I cannot remember the last time a Vanderbilt basketball team in conference play was that big an underdog at Memorial Gym. Tennessee, 12.5-point favorite at home at Thompson Bowling against the Ole Miss Rebels, who are undefeated at 13-0. And Kentucky on the road, a pick'em at Florida. That surprises me a little bit. Pick'em.
Well, it's tough in Gainesville, winning down there.
I wonder if it's that tough. Anyway, we've got a national title game to talk about on Monday night with Michigan and Washington in football down in Houston. And Coach Watson Brown joins us by phone to talk about it. Watson, how are you?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys? Everybody good?
Doing good. Doing good.
Great.
So I have talked myself into Washington is going to present a whole different set of challenges to Michigan than they had a week ago. I thought Alabama was very conservative, very 10 yards at a time. Washington's going to be anything but that. They want to get it down the field with an incredibly accurate thrower. Watson, how good a shot does Washington have, in your opinion?
A shot to the point I'd pick them. I think they're going to win the game. Michigan has won games with their defensive front and their offensive front all year long. And they're not going to just win this game with their defensive front. I would be shocked if they did, because nobody gets to this quarterback. The offensive line is very good, and he's fantastic at filling things and getting rid of the ball or sliding in the pocket and buying himself some time. He is the best I've seen all year at doing that, George. So I think Washington matches this team really well. And my point is, I think Michigan has to score 30 or more to win the game. And I'm just not sure they're capable of doing that.
What is missing for the pro scouts on Michael Penix? I look at him and I see a lot of Tua, and yet the draft projections aren't anywhere close to it.
I think he's bigger than Tua, don't you? He looks it to me, but I don't know. I think he helped himself last week a bunch. And if he does that again this week, I think he's moving up the ladder, and we're going to see him be in the discussions more. I remember Vince Young not being in the discussions hardly at all. If you remember, George, you would remember that. And then he has that 500-yard total offense game in the national championship and moves way up the ladder. So I think it's a big week for Michael right here.
Is there any pro scout mentality of, yeah, Penix is good, but it's Caleb DeBoer and his system more than it is Penix? I don't buy that. But is that what the pro scouts are going with?
I don't know. I don't think it's system at all, though. And now I do think he's got the best set of receivers, 3 receivers and a tight end in the country. And I think it's proven out to be so. People can't cover them, and they can't go double the great one, but just ever so often, because there's too many other good guys. The system to me is not complicated. It looks like things I see a lot of people doing, a lot of downfield throws with maximum protection. So I do not think it's system whatsoever. I think it's talent. Now you always got to coach them well to have those kind of stats and not to have lost a game. I'm not trying to take away from that, but I think it's more the players executing what they're doing, and you can't hold these guys down. It's really hard to do, and Michigan's not good enough in the secondary, in my opinion, to do that. It's all going to be on that pass rush. And if the pass rush is better than I think it's going to be, that's the way Michigan wins. Or Michigan gets hot and can score 30 or more and stay with them. I think the second is going to be harder than the first. And Michigan's not one to bring a lot of pressure either now. So they're going to have to get with them with that front four. And they've done it all year to everybody. I just don't think they're going to do it this week. They did it with some pressures against Alabama that the Alabama front and quarterback couldn't handle. They got better at it in the second half, but it's Rick Minner's son, forget his first name, is
Jesse.
the defensive coordinator that was at Vanderbilt for a little bit. And, of course, I go way back with Rick, and I went against him at Cincinnati when he was at the University of Cincinnati, and I was at UAB a bunch of times. I think he has done a phenomenal job at Michigan. Really, really good. And we'll see what he comes up with this week, because I thought the design pressures he brought against Alabama bothered them mentally, not physically as much as just mentally. And I'm anxious to see if he tries to do the same thing to this bunch.
Watson, I've got to believe, as you sat there and watched Game 2 Monday night, that there was an appreciation for, here you've got this huge stage, the biggest stage you can have in college football, and you've got a quarterback in this thing in Michael Penix throwing long ball after long ball after long ball, and every last one of them is right in the bucket. I couldn't find a throw all night that I said, well, he was a little behind, or he was a little late, or he was a little inaccurate. I've never seen that kind of accuracy.
Not in that stage. And that kind of accuracy wasn't on the other side for Texas. They missed a bunch of open people. And no, I don't think he's getting enough credit, George, and I'm not sure they've gotten it all year. Everybody just seems to say, well, they're pretty good. Yeah, they're pretty good. Well, they're sitting there undefeated, and the two undefeated teams are playing each other, that don't happen all the time either. But it has this year. The two undefeated teams that everybody's kind of looked over both of them, Michigan and Washington. Michigan's there, but I'm not sure they're that good. Well, one of them's going to win this thing, and I just got a feeling it's going to be Washington. The other thing, George, you mentioned the accuracy. His sense of timing is unbelievable. He lets the ball go on time better than anybody in the country. And he can do it to a second receiver. He can look to one, slide a little bit in the pocket and let it go, and it's right on time to the second guy. Gosh, I don't know if I've ever seen a better performance unless it was Vince Young. I would put it right there with that Vince Young performance. I can't wait to see if he does it again Monday night.
What is the Tennessee Tech connection to Penix?
I think there's
didn't the father play there?
It may have been the father. It's a family member that played there. I think it may be the father. I'm not real sure myself. I knew there was one. And I bet it is father, tell you the truth. I bet that's what it is.
Billy, did I also hear that at one point Michael Penix committed to Tennessee, not Indiana?
Yeah, he was originally committed to Tennessee, and then Jeremy Pruitt said basically he wasn't a take for that staff, and he went on to Indiana.
Wow.
Well, there you go. Put that in that Michael Jordan getting cut when he was in the 8th grade. That'll go down in history.
So,
yeah, George, Michael Penix Sr. Was a running back in the 90s for Tennessee Tech.
There you go.
Wow.
And then also Michael's younger brother, Mekhi Penix, played at Tennessee Tech as a receiver.
Plays there
What years
now,
were
I
that?
believe.
Or is he now? I think it is
believe
now.
he's there now.
I think he's there.
Okay, yeah,
he
he's there
wasn't
now.
one of mine. I probably played against Dad. When I was at UAB, we played Tech twice in the 90s. So I'll bet you that I coached against him.
So, Watson, take me through what you think is going on the Michigan side of this, because they're not stupid. They see that this guy is really dangerous and that he, this is not just some, they're the Pac-12 and the Pac-12. They're for real. And these Michigan defensive staff members know it. And I'm guessing that they're saying, we're going to have to do some different stuff. What do you think they do?
I think philosophically they got together on Monday and said, we have got to shorten this game. We have got to bend but not break and not take a bunch of chances on defense. Keep the ball in front of us. Let them get their yards, and we got to keep it. We got to run it really well and play action pass and keep the ball. I think that's the immediate, as soon as they watch that offense, they said, wow. And that would be my bottom dollar bet that that's what they're doing. They're saying, okay, we're going to have to play a little more shell coverage than maybe we're used to playing, maybe a little bit less man, keep the ball in front of us, take our chances on the blitzes, not near like we did Alabama, and blitz them less. And front four, you've got to get there some. If you don't sack him, you've got to get in his face where he can't see, and then keep the ball. And I think that's going to be the biggie. I think their offense is being told we have got to possess the ball in this game.
Let me try a couple of other things on the college football front. We finally see Nico, and he's every bit what he's been advertised to be, if not more. And it's got a lot of people, aiming at Heupel going, why didn't you do this earlier? Watson, do you think he's second-guessing himself, and is the easy answer that in October it wouldn't have looked like this?
George, I think he had a lot of I've said this week, I said, everybody take a deep breath and let's don't put him at the top of the pedestal just yet. Give him some time and let him get better. They protected him really well in that game. He did not have to make a hard read, hard throw in the game. And you can't do that in the SEC week in and week out. So he was well protected. I'm not talking about protection. I'm talking about protected in the way they made his mind work and where he had to throw the ball. Nothing complicated. The few little dropbacks that he had to throw in third and long, he struggled with a little bit. I thought he was a little jumpy, and so I think he's got everything. He's missing two things, and they're fixable this winter, and that's gain some weight. He'd have a tough time getting through a whole year. He's thin. He needs to put weight and strength on, and he needs experience, and he's going to get that. And when he gets them both, I do think he's going to be one of the best in the country. But I don't think starting next year he's just going to be knocking it down. I can go back and think Hendon Hooker. When Hendon started, he looked good, but not ready to just burn it up. And by golly, by the time he got through it all, he was as good as there was in the country. I think this kid could be the same. But if they started him at the start of the year, I think they didn't because they knew he wasn't ready to handle the offense completely yet. And they had to decide, do we want to live with him and maybe lose one early but be better at the end? They might be second guessing it. I don't know. But I thought the game plan in that game was perfect for him, and it made him look good. And if they'd have gone in there fast-paced, drop-back throws all over the place, I don't think he would have looked near as good in this game. He played an easy team to play now. Mentally, Iowa is easy to play. Maybe not physically defensively, but mentally they don't do very much. And so it was an easy game plan for him. And as good as the defense played and as bad as Iowa's offense was, guys, it made him even look better because he didn't have to do a whole lot in the game.
At LSU, Brian Kelly fired 4 defensive coaches. Should I take that to mean that the Michigan rumor with him is total BS?
I don't think anything with him is ever total BS. I think he's one of those, man. He's got his nose in a little bit of everything. Not him, but his agent. I wouldn't count that out by any means yet. I think he don't have it at this point, but Harbaugh hadn't left yet either. So, no, I don't think that changes my thoughts on that whatsoever. We'll just wait and see. And the defense was not LSU standards. And I know the defensive coordinator very well and think he's very good, but it just wasn't good. And so it didn't surprise me that he cleaned house on that side of the ball. But I don't think that. I think he'd still take a look at that if it happens. For me, I never thought. George, I've said this to you so many times through all the years. We say coaching is a fit. It's where you are. Do you fit where you're coaching? And if you don't, it's hard to make it. And I just didn't know if he'd come into the Southeastern Conference in the Deep South and since he'd not been here before and be able to get it done. So far he has, but not to the level they want. I'm not saying he won't, but I'm not sure his comfortability wouldn't go back and put him back in that direction somewhere.
Another wild card, Watson, in the coaching realm is Lane Kiffin. And obviously, they've been on a roll in the transfer portal these last few weeks here. But they lost their running back, their workhorse, Quinshon Judkins, whose numbers are crazy these last couple of years. And obviously, there's rumors going on. Was he not getting the money he wanted? Who knows what went on? But do you think we're going to be seeing even more of that now, especially at schools like an Ole Miss, where you got guys already there, but now you got guys on top of those dudes coming in? And those guys that were already there saying maybe, hey, where's the respect for me? I know we got players coming in, but what about the guys that were already there?
Absolutely. Billy, you're dead on it, man. That's the next step. The 2 things I believe is coming. Number one, people that are on the team not getting paid what they're bringing somebody in that hadn't played it down there yet. And when you gain 1,000 yards, 1,500 yards, and the guy they bringing in might play a different position, but they're paying him more money than you, I promise you they're going to leave. And that's exactly what I think's going on with this one. And then the second thing that's going to happen is they're going to not pay them. And then they're going to leave because they're not getting paid. And I think that's happened at some schools already too. That's the 2 big things that I see. And anytime a really good player that started for a year, maybe 2 years, transfers out, it's money. It's 100% money. Why else would you leave? You're the starting tailback. You're the starting whatever at Alabama. You're the starting right tackle. They've had 2 linemen leave. And I wonder, and did you all see where there was an article written where Alabama's got to come up with more money for the NFL?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm laughing my head off. Here Alabama is begging for more money to try to keep up with Georgia or whoever, Tennessee. I think there's schools, A&M, there's schools that are doing a good job, and they're coming up with the cash, and they're bringing in better players because of it. But you nailed it, Billy. That's what's on its way, man, and I think it's already started.
So it has nothing to do with the Spanish department? No trouble passing, having trouble
George,
going from
I don't think so, George.
Yo Tengo Dinero to Hablamos.
That's a good one, but I think you're right about that. I don't think it's got anything to do with it.
Okay. Let's end it like this.
Oh, boy.
That one came out of left field, didn't it?
That was a BGA one right there. No doubt.
C-SPAN can be used for a variety of things. I would love for C-SPAN to televise Monday's meeting between Robert Kraft and Belichick. I see the scenario where Robert says to him, Bill, what are we going to do about a quarterback? And Belichick mumbles, we're on to Cincinnati. And Kraft says, no, this is not the media. This is the owner. You have to talk to me. Where do you think?
Kraft, when he says we're on to Cincinnati, Kraft's going to say, no, you're on to Cincinnati.
So how do you think this is going to play out?
I can't see him just letting him go. It's got to be a mutual agreement. There's so much history and success between them. Boy, that'd be hard to pull off. But it is the way of the world. We saw Bobby Bowden let go. We've seen guys that have done unbelievably well. Then all of a sudden you're not getting it done for a year or two. Boom, see you around. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's going to be mutual. I cannot see him walking out of that meeting and he was fired. Do you all? I just can't see it. I see it worse. It's mutual. Man, we love each other, but I think it's time for us both to move on. That would be the worst it could possibly be, I think.
I think it's had Kraft tossing and turning for weeks. Because
it would be.
Think about it. You haven't seen anything out of Kraft in a month. Now, you see a picture every once in a while of him up in that suite with his son during home games, but you haven't heard a peep out of him.
No. I'm telling you, and that's why I think it's killing him. And it wouldn't me. I wouldn't want to be him because, my gracious, what good has come from that program or that operation through all these years is nobody's touched it in the NFL. And so, yeah, that'd be hard for me now. And they've got to have been close through all these years, George. They've got
I would
to
think
been
so.
Really close friends. And he watched the Brady thing go down and not be pretty. And so I don't think he wants it twice. So I think if he wants him gone, he's going to have to get Belichick to agree to it and just say, why don't we just mutually move on here? And I will be shocked if we wake up the next day and see he's fired him.
If he leaves New England, does he coach again?
Yeah.
I think so,
I think
too.
he does.
Yeah.
I do. I don't think he's walking out the door with this taste in his mouth. This ain't losing the national championship like Saban. This is poor programs for a few years. I mean, really poor. And so, yeah, I think he goes somewhere else. And I'm not sure he's not looking to do that too. That he may ease the pain for Kraft just by him saying, look, I just think it's help me here. Let's move on. I'll help you. Let's come away. Let's find a way here to make this good for both of us. And let's do this. If Bill would do that, it would save him a lot of misery. And Bill's hard-headed now, so I don't know. But Bill's got to be sitting there and looking around at his team and saying, man, we got a long way to go. I'm not sure it's best for me right now at my age to keep fighting this.
Yeah, the quicker that meeting is, probably the better, you know.
It appears it'll be Monday. I don't think we'll go on the air Monday with a decision.
Yeah.
I think this is going to take a little while. I think this is.
It might take a couple of days, right, Joe? I agree with you, George.
It might be
both think about it, get together again a second time, whatever. But isn't it amazing? I don't think Tom Brady wins all those championships without Belichick. And I don't think Belichick wins all those championships without Brady. And it was an interesting match that worked. And it worked big time. But sooner or later, things finally break off and you got to head in a different direction. And it's just life. It's the way it works. And
except at Alabama.
I just don't think it's so far. But, you know, when the standard is that you don't win a national championship, you've had a bad year. I don't know how much longer Nick's going to do that either. And I'll tell you this, if they don't get more NIL money, because that came straight from Coach Saban, man, I'm telling you, that came straight from him. We got to have more money. We've got to have more money to spend on these players. And if they don't come up with more money, he ain't going to hang around now. He won't hang around. I don't think he'd coach again.
I'm worried about it. I'm thinking about doing a telethon for him.
We all had to chuckle when we saw that, didn't we?
Give to Tide
through
pride.
all the years in Alabama, the place to want to be and everything, and then to have that come out, I'm going, you got to be kidding me. Oh, Lord.
Isn't that where we end this?
I think it's a good place to end it.
Watson.
It is. And it's also a sad deal, George, I'll say that that's what you're talking about.
Oh.
You know, you used to go to Alabama. I'm the idiot that didn't go, but you used to go to Alabama because it's the place to go. It's where the good player goes. And now it's not that. It's about money. That's sad to me.
Yep. Watson, thank you as always. I bet we talk again Monday.
I bet we do.
See ya.
See you guys.
Do we talk more Titans or national title? That's the question.
A little both. I'll bet you there ain't a lot of time spent on the Titans.
Don't be surprised.
I think the Titans are where we're more excited about the offseason than we are the season. So,
Watson, over the weekend, I want you to think about this. It could be the difficulty in the Spanish department.
Where did you come up with that? I mean, Billy, what did you feed him today, baby? That one is, you talking about left field.
That's a new one.
I know you got to go, but let me tell you this quick story. You know where left field came from?
No.
My son's wife explained it to me this weekend. It's from Yankee Stadium. And there was a psychiatric ward out of the stadium across the street in left field.
Oh, my goodness.
That's what she says. She says, look it up. And that's where that came from left field.
That's awesome.
And you're thinking I belong there.
How about that? How about that now?
Wow.
Never knew that.
That's some good stuff.
There's been people say I need to go to left field. Now I know what they meant when they said that.
Have a good weekend.
Same to you guys. See you.
Watson Brown, great visit today. Fun stuff. After the break, a tale of the tape. The last one of the year involving the Titans. Stick around.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
It is time for Tale of the Tape.
Here we go.
Jacksonville Jaguars are in town Sunday to take on the Titans. Let's look at the Tale of the Tape. One area that we know we can give the Titans is that they are the home team.
Yeah.
Okay, so there they are. Congratulations. By the way, Billy, you got a couple of these upside down.
Do I?
Yes, you do. Okay, so in the running game, I went dead even under the belief that if it is Derrick Henry's final game, that they will muster something to make that check mark dead even in the running game, and that Henry will give us one last taste of the good stuff. I hope it's not his last game. I don't understand why it should be unless he comes out publicly and says, I want out. I'm tired of getting the crap kicked out of me. I want to go play for a team that can win a championship. If that's what he wants, I am totally cool with it. Now, I put the passing game at dead even for one reason. If Trevor Lawrence does not play, Jacksonville will get way more conservative. That's what they did against Carolina, and the result, I think, was 19-0 was their win over the Panthers. If Trevor Lawrence plays, checkmark goes into the Jacksonville category. Now, I have Jacksonville with the checkmark defensively. Unfortunately, this does not. Same thing with the kicking game. Once Stonehouse went out with the injury, it's not like the Titans have suffered maximum, but Jacksonville would have the advantage in the kicking game, although slight. Okay, the intangibles are flip-flopped incorrectly.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Yes, here we go.
No division title on the line.
There is no division title on the line. For Jacksonville, they are competing for a division title. There should be nothing that creates more incentive than that. For the Titans, what is it they play for? I guess it's playing for Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. emotional goodbyes and that they muster up one performance for good old sake, for good old times. And clearly, that's not the final score that I have. Flip-flop it as well. Jacksonville 20, the Titans 13.
So a little flip-flopping around here. But if there's any tail of the tape I sort of mess up, it's this one.
Oh, no, this one's
big.
This one's diseased. It has some real problems. So if somebody looks at this without hearing the audio, they're going to think I'm nuts.
They are.
Yeah, thanks a bunch. Okay, we'll go to the break. I'm going to assume that they've got the bets accurately. If not,
we do.
Okay, good. Stay tuned, please. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
Final segment on a Friday. Not a ton tonight. We do have a good college basketball matchup at 7:30, Illinois and Purdue. Of course, we've got SEC games all day tomorrow, NFL action on Sunday. We'll see where Georgia's going with Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's check out what happened last night. A couple of losses.
Yes.
What happened to the old Lipscomb Bisons?
Eastern Kentucky beat them. I don't know a whole lot more. I was at the Preds game, and that really didn't turn out real well either.
Back to 500.
Okay, so let me explain where we're going here. This is a weekend, the final weekend of the regular season, and in the new 17-game schedule, the regular season ends a week later, which means that we've got bad weather. As you get into January, the likelihood of bad weather gets higher. That coupled with who's playing,
Oh,
who
yeah.
has anything to play for. You got to do your homework ahead of time on some of this stuff. Hopefully we've done that. Let's see how it turns out. These are 5 NFL plays. Let's start with this one at Lambeau. Green Bay absolutely smoked Minnesota a week ago to stay alive. And now, in a home field finale, they get the Bears. And the truth of it is, the Bears in recent weeks have gotten a lot better. I hear all this talk about Justin Fields and will the Bears retain him. I think 2 months ago, he was out of there. They would not have retained him. But I think his performances in recent weeks are giving Chicago reason to say, we keep Justin Fields, we trade the number 1 overall draft pick, and we get an absolute haul of players. That's what the Bears have going for them, that this trade with Carolina a year ago may reap some real benefits for them.
They love Justin Fields now. All of a sudden, the Bears fans are in love with him, and, I mean, he's played well. So
Now, for this game, the Packers got to win at home.
Yeah.
I mean, do they really want for a second year in a row to have a win and you're in with a home game and not get it done? Remember, Detroit went in there a year ago on the final regular season game, the Sunday night game, and ripped Green Bay a new one. I don't think it's going to happen 2 years in a row. I'm taking Green Bay minus the 3 at home against the Bears. How about this one? This one comes under the category of one thought, C.J. Stroud. He is the difference tomorrow night. The Texans get their first national TV exposure in a long, long time. This is a big game for them. It's also a big game for Indy because the winner likely is getting in the playoffs, not necessarily as a division winner, but nonetheless, a win tomorrow by either one of these teams, and they've got to feel pretty good about their playoff chances. What is the difference in the game? I think it's C.J. Stroud, his ability when the play breaks down to move around with all that mobility, and all of a sudden defenses can't cover for 7, 8, 9 seconds. I think he's the difference in the game. I'm going with the Texans.
It feels like it's going to come down to how well Gardner Minshew plays in this one. I mean, I think we can expect Stroud to play pretty well, but when Minshew this season doesn't throw an interception, the Colts are 6-0. So keep an eye on that. If Minshew can play clean, keep the football in their hands and keep it going, maybe the Colts can take this home. But I don't know. It's gonna be tough against Stroud and that
Very
offense.
entertaining game tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here's one that for standings purposes means nothing. Why in the world am I taking the Patriots? My guess is that the leadership in that locker room, whoever it is, whatever it is, has found this piece of incentive. We want to take Billy Boy out on a win. My guess is they're chirping just as much in that locker room as we are. They know what's coming on Monday. They're hearing all the talk. The only thing they can do for him is win. And the Jets will help because they suck. New England minus the 1.5 at home against Jets.
I'm with you. We both think this is going to be Belichick's last game as the Patriots head coach. George, I can't fathom this Patriots team just rolling over in a game that has historical significance. I'm with you. New England has won 15 straight games against the Jets, 12 straight at home against the Jets. Give me the Patriots, too.
Here's the fourth pick. Tampa. Tampa, if they win in Carolina, they win the division and they get to be the team to host probably the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the up in the air part is Baker Mayfield. I'm going on the assumption that Baker Mayfield's going to play, if for no other reason than he has a $1 million playoff appearance bonus. If Tampa gets in the playoffs, he gets an extra $1 million. That would be enough incentive to play hurt. However he plays, they're simply better than Carolina. And I'm taking them minus the points against the hideous Panthers.
I mean, they've got to win. They're coming off just an awful loss last week. Carolina's coming off a loss last week too, but they're Carolina. You know, the Bucks need it. There's nothing else on Baker, right? I mean, Baker, there's nothing official on him yet, whether or not he's going to play.
No, I think it's the old game time decision.
You got to think he'll play. I'm with you on that one too.
Okay, the last one is the final game of the regular season in the NFL, and it is a doozy. In fact, I'm looking up right now the over-under in this game because this is not going to end up 13-9. These are two teams that put some points out there. 48.5 is the over-under. I'm taking Miami plus the points, not because I think Buffalo will play poorly. I think this ends up being a shootout. If 48.5 is the over, go over. That may be the smartest play. 24 points isn't going to win this. This is one of these 34-31 old-fashioned AFL kind of shootouts. It's going to be a hell of a football game.
It is going to be a good game. Dangerous picking against the Bills team that's hungry right now. It is in Miami. I don't know. This feels like a pick'em game.
Oh, it's a tough look. I'm not saying my confidence level is all that good toward that game, but we got to play it. It's the last game of the season. It's Sunday night. It's double up to catch up.
Here we go.
Yeah. Listen, all of you have a great weekend. It looks like if you're watching this live, some pretty heavy rain's going to move in here tonight by about 8-9 p.m. The good news is it appears it's out of here earlier than midday tomorrow. So if you're out tonight, drive safely. Monday, we've got a bunch of stuff, including national title review, Watson's Titans analysis, and Tim Brando will be in the house. Looking forward to it. See you Monday.